KCS. What's up?
Hey, Tom. Well, you brought up so many topics there. I feel like I just have to interject one idea about, I would never argue with gender identity. That's clearly a state of mind, a state of being. But one thing that always seems to get ignored is the amount of estrogen that's actually in our food supply. There's so many xenoestrogens from pesticides, phytoestrogens from soy, the huge one. Birth control pills leave estrogen in the water. Microplastics also can mimic estrogen. I'm just saying that it's prolific. Not that people haven't always had proclivities to experiment with gender identity, but those chemicals and compounds are prolific in our food supply. But that's not what I actually called to talk about.
Well, let me just speak to that very quickly, Dan, because
okay,
you just dropped something there in front of us all. We do know that many of those compounds that you just named, the soy estrogens, are more in dispute. In fact, there was a piece in the Washington Post about that yesterday, or maybe it was the New York Times. But the rest of them, we know, for example, they can alter amphibians and fish and things like that. But we're looking at fewer than 1% of humans. So I think the probability that these effects are anything other than just normal variations in humanity I think that's the greatest probability, that we've always had trans individuals with us, that there are people throughout history that we can recognize as trans individuals, and that that's just part of humanity, and we just need to leave it at that. I mean, there may be some small effect from some of these chemicals, but if it was a substantial effect, I mean, we're seeing, for example, we have seen in the last 60, 70 years an absolute explosion in cancer in the United States. That, I think, clearly tracks back to toxic chemicals in our food supply and in our environment. Yeah, I mean, 1 out of 3 people experiences cancer in their lifetime, or maybe it's 1 out of 4, but a huge percentage. I think if these chemicals were similarly affecting gender identity, that we would see a much larger effect. Now, I'm not a scientist. I'm just an amateur scientist, but that's my take on that.